Land ownership and understanding our past history of doing for self is key to rebuilding wasted cities and making historical Black businesses districts great.
It was rebuilt after that to a substantial degree, peaking in the 1940s, early to mid-1940s, with well over 200 documented Black-owned and operated businesses. But then there was a second devastation. This was not a devastation affected through violence, but rather through policy. So generally, Black wealth is 1/10 of white wealth. That's sort of the general standard. And why is that? It's because the lack of the ability on part of African Americans to transfer wealth intergenerationally, because there are barriers to that. Among the barriers are these incidents, like the one in Tulsa, the massacre. It really obliterated Black wealth that would have otherwise transferred across generations.
Joining us to discuss this is Brother Louis Ali. Greetings, brother. How you doing today?
Peace and blessings, brother. Thank you so much for having me on this afternoon.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you so much for joining us today. So from doing some research, I see that you are a landowner and business owner. Your company is a land development company, and you are a land literacy activist. So what is a land literacy activist? As land ownership is a basis for freedom and economic self-sufficiency, what advice do you give Blacks who want to become landowners?
Well, we always start with thanking the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for lifting up the name of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and making the FOI class available to somebody like me down south.
Mm-hmm.
Land literacy is to be competent in developing your own land so that you can produce your own food, clothing, and shelter for yourself. So it has to do with competency. At one point in our development, the best skilled tradesmen were Black.
Mm-hmm.
We built everything. But after Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, white people came back to Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia, and they were really angry. And they created what is called in Louisiana, the Contractors Board, where the Black skilled tradesman who was proficient at his skill was building all the houses, doing all the concrete, doing all of the infrastructure. They made it illegal for him to do it unless he had a contractor's license in 56.
Wow.
And so that meant that Black men had to go work for white companies, and they took their whole crew to work for white companies. See, this is one of the tricks to get us out of the skilled trades. Well, if you work on a job, then you can't train your young boys in the skilled trades, in the building trades. And you leave the next generation land illiterate, and you force them, you socially engineer them into dependency, so that even if somebody gives you some land, you don't quite know what to do with it anymore. Well, this was done by design. And I'm grateful that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has opened up the door to highlight it, and that now we're bringing young Black boys back into the skilled trades so that we can be free to do something for ourselves.
Yes, sir. That's important. That's an interesting fact that you gave us. You said it was the Contractors Board of 1956. Is that what it was again?
Yeah, they set up contractors boards. And so in order to be a contractor, whereas before you just had to have a skill,
right?
And you could go build houses, you could do the plumbing, you could do the electricity. Well, when they set up the board and put it in tricky language, many of the elders couldn't read or pass the contractor's test.
Right. So
that meant that the big white companies got the best skilled tradesmen. See, they socially engineer us out of it. And oftentimes when we think of a knowledge of self, we're thinking of reading history books and reading books. But part of the knowledge of self is knowing the legacy of your father and grandfathers and how they lived off the land and were self-sufficient, and how you take skills and trades from one generation to the next generation. And you know as well as I that Africans had a different perspective on death.
Right.
We believed in transition, meaning that all of the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I have, I put that knowledge and wisdom in the generation of young men coming behind me, and we get eternal life because they can perfect whatever I started.
That's right. That's right. Yes, sir. You know, as a community activist, you have been involved in various forums, and town hall meetings discussing rebuilding Black communities and separation. So when you say separation, what do you mean? What steps must we take to rebuild thriving communities and create generational wealth that pushes over to the next generation?
Well, the first step is we need a man.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say how much that man, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, means to this movement.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say something about image. You know, image is how young Black boys have an imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And imagination is how we get a purpose and a will to do something and to be somebody special. And all of the masculine Black male images have just about been destroyed and so slandered that we don't pay any attention to them, except the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to separate so that we can do something for ourselves. We know that the land can produce something meaningful for us. Mm-hmm. And so in the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's economic blueprint and message to the Black man under economics, he says that the first step of economics is to separate yourself from the slave master.
Right.
We must begin to move into close proximity with one another, with people who have like minds and like ideas.
Mm-hmm.
When we pool our resources together, we're not just talking about cash. Really, cash is the smallest thing on the economic scale. It liquidates your economics. But there are three components. Mm-hmm. Number one, you need land. Number two, you need skilled labor or army. Anybody that's a skilled laborer can easily be militarized. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So you need land, labor, and a little bit of cash. Mm-hmm. And you need an area that you concentrate on. You start out by having think tank meetings where you talk about what it is your intentions are. Mm-hmm. Then you start strategically buying things in that area. The number one thing that young Black people, and we should be focusing on, is all around these historically Black colleges. That's where we should start at, because that's where the young minds are. If you can't take over financially, you take over culturally. Let me give you an example. Mm-hmm. When the so-called Mexicans come here, oftentimes they don't have any cash. What do they have? They have the muscle of their skilled trades.
Right.
They live in military style, where they might go get a house and live in there 8 or 10 deep, just bunkering down in what Black people used to do the same thing when we moved from the South to the North, called hotbeds. And they have a military mind, and they go on jobs and they get business. And if you have a skill, it won't take you long to get cash. Right. And so that's how you start it out. You start, I respect the gangbangers. I don't agree with some of the things they do in right. The gangs, but I respect what they're doing. But just imagine if we had a gang of skilled tradesmen.
Absolutely.
Bricklayers and plumbers and people who understood electricity and welding and truck driving. See, that's our game. And then we go into an area, you can get a lot of these buildings cheap. We've been buying them down here in Louisiana.
Absolutely.
And we can get together and refurbish them. The minister opened it up wide for us. We'll never be poor again because Minister Farrakhan taught us to do it.
That's right. You know, as we are sitting here having this conversation, it really brought the question to mind, you know, why is it necessary for us to engage in conversations about making historical Black business and cultural districts great again? You know, how important is it that we understand our past history doing for self, i.e. owning stores, hotels, newspapers, and having Black teachers who taught trades?
You know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he opened up message to the Black man And he said, who is that mystery God? I was talking to a brother, and he told me about Black Wall Street, but we talk about it in such a superficial manner.
Right.
I asked him one question. I say, who built it? The conversation got quiet. Black men built Black Wall Street, and they built it for Black women and Black children. And we didn't just build Black Wall Street in Oklahoma. There were Black Wall Street and business districts all around this country. But after Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, by 1956, they came out with the Highway and Interstate Act and Urban Renewal, and they took the interstate and put it slap back down the middle of all the Black business districts. Well, I coined the phrase that the saying, you can't be a bee without a beehive.
Right.
They scattered all of the bees. They took all of the talent out of the Black community and put it in white universities. And then, like blood diamonds in South Africa, they buff these Negroes up and shine them and run them down the football field or the basketball field or the intellectual field, but they're disconnected from the beehive. See, we have to create a Black business district, and it should work the same way the Kaaba works in Mecca. You can be a Muslim anywhere you want to, but you have to have Mecca to circumvent around.
That's right.
And the activities in the Black community have to circumvent around the Black business districts. That's See, right. if you talk about recycling the Black dollar, you can't recycle the Black dollar under integration. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that integration was a hypocritical trick, and integration is a sin. And the wages of sin is death. But the gift of God is eternal life. And the only way we're going to have eternal life is we have to separate from God's enemy and start doing something practical for ourselves. If you will recall in the Bible, in Malachi, the 4th chapter, the 4th to the 6th verse, it said that Elijah would turn the hearts of the children back to their fathers. Right. Well, that's what's missing. We don't know what our fathers done. We don't know what our uncles done. We don't know what they built. Men interpret love as respect. How can you be a man and we ain't built nothing?
That's right.
So the young people that they claim are disrespectful, in actuality, they're not disrespectful, they're practical. Until you can show your young people what we have built to advance them in the future, then we're being quite hypocritical to ask them to respect us. Well, it's something that we as older or the next generation have to do for the younger people, and they won't help us.
And I don't, and I apologize for cutting you off here. And thank you for all that great information here. Just real quick, we only got about a minute left on this segment. Sure. How can we apply this law that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about the first law of the universe is motion? How can we apply this law to redeveloping our communities?
By remembering what the original sin is. The original sin is not marrying or being with a woman. The original sin is idleness. We are commanded to be in motion. We are commanded to do something for ourselves. And if you do something for yourself, God knows you will attract something to benefit self. That's the short answer.
Thank you, my brother. I really do appreciate you coming on tonight with us and sharing that wonderful information. And I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your night.
Thank you. Is it okay if I give out my information? Maybe they can go to www.growdirt.net. www.growdirt.net. Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thank you, brother, for joining us tonight.
Peace.
Peace. Let us pause for announcements from our sponsors. When we return, Vernon Muhammad will be on to discuss the latest dip in cryptocurrency. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.
worldwide, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Download the Final Call Radio app and take us everywhere. On your phone, on your computer, on your tablet, on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can also log on to finalcall.com and click the Listen Live button or finalcallradio.com. Final Call Radio, the official voice of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam.
Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel at National Network View. I am Anissa Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
There are fluctuations in the cryptocurrency market, but it is still considered a wise choice where investors can put their funds and build wealth.
And you're talking about this, but I'm looking at this. I mean, 34% on it. I'm looking at the significant fall in the cryptocurrency. Bitcoin Elon Musk declared it top. Ether is down 40%. No, it's the Chinese.
Saturday Night Live.
It's the Chinese, Jim.
Oh, well,
it's the Chinese.
Musk and China.
They've tightened the restrictions that ban financial institutions and payment companies from providing services related to cryptocurrency. We've got to tell people here. It's a fresh crackdown. They want to create their own, digital currency, we believe. By the way, it will only help their surveillance of everything that goes on in Chinese society, because they'll know exactly who's spending what at any moment, one would expect.
Well,
Not to mention they have this idea of perhaps trying to replace the dollar sometime with their own Chinese digital currency.
And they've had currency controls. Carl, I mean, look, I think we can relate, obviously, what's going on with Bitcoin with the sell-off in equities. But I think
of course we can, right? I mean, that's why
But there's two kinds of equities.
But this is related.
No, but I had Greg Hayes on last night.
So many of these youngsters, Jim, are trading
they'll get burned out.
Joining us is our brother Vernon Muhammad to discuss this topic. Greetings, brother. How you doing?
Greetings to you. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Doing well, sir. Doing well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Sir, so that was a very interesting clip. As we can see, the world of cryptocurrency, technology, and blockchain has been a very interesting topic for the last few months, actually. So what's new in the world of blockchain technology this week?
Actually, there's a lot of new and exciting things that are on the horizon, but as that clip put the focus on, we know that Elon Musk, who is the CEO of Tesla, a few weeks back made the announcement that you would be able to buy Tesla or services through Tesla using Bitcoin. Well, in a sudden change in this past week, he suddenly announced that, you're not going to be able to do that with Tesla anymore. You're not going to be able to purchase a Tesla or services using Bitcoin. And a lot of people look at people like Elon Musk, and anything they say, anything they do has a ripple effect. So you had that go on. A lot of people, reacted to what they saw come out, whether it meant something or whether it didn't. You also have to keep in mind the rise of Bitcoin and various cryptocurrencies over the last year. There's a lot of people who made a lot of money, and only they know when it's time to say, okay, well, I'm going to take some of that money off of the table and do some other things with it. So it's a normal thing for people who profited, made money, to take some money out of the market every once in a while. So you'll see dips, you'll see ups, you'll see downs. But there's also, as I said, new and exciting information on the continent of Africa. Ethiopia has become the first African nation to actually formalize institution of the blockchain as it relates to somewhat of a census, like a digital identity for all of its citizens. So again, the blockchain is just managing data management. Okay, so if you think of every citizen, even citizens that weren't being counted before or were only being counted on slips of paper, now there's an upgrade in technology in a way that that nation can account for all of its citizens as they move forward into modern times. So it's a lot of good things that are happening.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And you touched on dips and going up and down in the marketplace. So why are the prices of cryptocurrencies dropping the way that they are?
That's a hot question on everybody's lips. As a matter of fact, they're saying there's blood in the streets. That's what it means when drastic falls and everything looks red. But one valuable lesson to understand about markets, about what assets are versus liabilities are, and what money is. Money is made to move. That's one valuable lesson that we have to keep in mind.
Right.
So whether you're talking short term or long term, you shouldn't be alarmed by any type of movement. That's what it's made to do.
Right.
Money is made to move. There's talk of currency, cryptocurrency. We know that dollars is a form of currency, but the root of that is current. Okay, it's like electricity. It has to flow. If money just sits tucked away under a mattress in an account, wherever you have it, it's not working for you. But if you look at active markets, you're going to see money moving. And when money moves, you'll see values or prices go up. You'll see values or prices go down. So in the short term, you can't be surprised when you see something drastic happen. That's what happens in the short term. Up, down, up, down, up, down. But over the long term, which is what I guess people who are really serious about financial literacy and education learn, they understand that in the long term, markets grow, markets overcome dips and temporary downturns.
Okay. And so, for those who aren't really too much aware of what to do when markets go up and down and have drastic turns, because they may be new to investing in crypto or just the marketplace in general, what are some best practices for people who want to jump in and make money in crypto?
Make money in crypto. You're asking these loaded questions. Let's take it back to the basics. I think the last time I was on, I tried to just give some basic education so that we can, start to build our financial IQ. So this time around, I want to put the focus on assets and assets versus liabilities. Okay. There's one way of thinking is, how can I make money quick? How can I make a quick buck? All right. We really want to move away from that way of thinking,
right?
And understand the difference between you making a buck or you making money, and understand the difference between that and an asset, owning an asset, which is something that makes money for you. There's only so many hours a day that you can work. There's only so many things you can do in a day to make money, right? The wise and more intelligent thing to do is to have assets that work for you, assets that will exponentially increase what you're able to make, earn, bring in as income. Okay, so an asset is something that you own that makes money for you or brings money to you. Okay, if I had a car and I rent my car out to somebody else who's driving when I'm not driving, my car is an asset. Even though I may have a car note on the car, it's out, it's earning money, and it's paying for itself plus some. So that's an asset. One of the things that we should do in this, especially in this environment, is learn the difference between an asset and a liability. A liability is something that just keeps money going out from you.
Right.
Case in point, if you look at all the cryptocurrencies that are out there and everybody's like, oh, which one should I get? I'm gonna try this one. I'm gonna try that one.
Right.
A lot of people are crying now because they bought themselves liabilities. Take the time to get the education, learn what's going to actually bring money to you versus what you're throwing your money away on.
No, absolutely. Wow. So you put quotes around make money. So can you explain as to why you put quotes around make money and what is making money or what is not making money?
I put the quotes around money because there are a lot of us who don't even know what money is, what real money is. If I've actually tried this with people, and there's a video out on YouTube where there's a wealthy guy who goes down to I think it's Del Marva or something like that in California, where all the rich and wealthy people live out near Venice Beach in California. And he's actually on the street and he says, hey, I have this gold coin, this 1 ounce gold coin, 1 ounce of gold. He says, look, I need to do something. I need to hop a bus or whatever he was trying to do. He said, I'll sell you this gold coin for $20. 1 ounce of gold is worth a lot more than $20. But no matter how many people passed him on the street, no one was willing to part with a $20 paper bill for 1 ounce of gold.
Wow.
Most people don't know what real money is. Just for the sake of clarity, that's something you should take all day long. Okay. If you compare a $20 bill and 1 ounce of pure gold, I would do that every day of my life if I could. But there's so many people who have no clue and won't budge in any different direction or even be willing to learn what the difference is between currency, cryptocurrency, money, real money, and what's the purpose of money. You know, what money is supposed to do for you and what you're supposed to do in relation to money. So a lot of it, again, just depends on education and depends on changing our mindset. There's something that Warren Buffett had a quote about markets and about the marketplace. He said, the markets are designed so that people with patience can slowly take the money from people with no patience.
Wow.
Think about that for a moment.
Wow. Yeah, that's deep right there. That's very deep. And so you speak a lot on financial literacy and educating ourselves. Where can someone start to get financial literacy education in the first place?
Stay plugged into NNV News. First of all, there's always something good coming here. I try to make myself available. I try to find conversations and initiate conversations on social media spaces, in different forums, just to keep this conversation present among our people on as much of an opportunity as I can. There's something going on every day, and I try to, using my platform, goldmasterplan.info, just pull in various people who are engaged, whether it's artists who are learning or having a conversation about how can I get my art into an NFT, whether it's people who are at the retirement age. Not that I'm giving retirement advice or financial advice, but we're just having the conversation. People who want to know, well, what do I need to do? Or what I need to be aware of moving forward? How can I make smarter decisions for myself? Or whether it's somebody who's, Gen X, Gen Z, that's saying, hey, I'm not where my parents were, but I certainly see a different kind of future. And I want to create a different kind of future for the generations coming after me. There's conversations that need to happen at all levels. So, look for those type of things on social media platforms, here on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook or whether you're on Twitter.
Wow. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for that. So right now we're going to pause for announcements from our sponsors, and coming back up, we'll bring back on Brother Vernon Muhammad, and we'll talk a little bit more about cryptocurrency. We'll be right back.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
Greetings from National Network View. This week's Final Call cover story headline memorializes the late, great DMX. Last week, DMX's life was celebrated at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Large crowds gathered to honor the legend. They were there to remember a man who wasn't afraid to express his pain with the world. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan spoke via Zoom to the large audience. He delivered words of comfort, wisdom, and guidance to everyone under the sound of his voice. DMX will live on. This FCM volume number 29 edition features the middle page article is a transcript of what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said at the memorial. To read more, subscribe to finalcalldigital.com and tune in to the all-new Final Call Radio. This is the NNVnews.com Final Call cover report.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Please make sure you leave your comments and questions in the comment section below. Follow us on Facebook, National Network View, and make sure to check us out on Twitter as well, National Network View. This is Sergio Gutierrez with National Network View, signing off.
Joining us once again to further this conversation about cryptocurrency is our brother Vernon Muhammad. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we were just leaving off on the question of educating themselves about, just financial literacy, cryptocurrency, etc. We know that you offer, a platform where you do give a lot of valuable information on cryptocurrency and financial literacy, etc. So where can people find you, whether it be on social media or whatever platform that you have, so they can continue to grow their knowledge of financial wealth?
Thank you for that. My website is goldmasterplan.info, goldmasterplan.info. I have a lot of pointed and really concise points about cryptocurrency, about some of the use cases of blockchain technology, and specifically, there's a big focus on decentralized finance. Now, decentralized finance is a term that we probably, if out of all the terms, we probably want to pay close attention to that. Okay. Every one of us is intricately connected to the banking industry. Every one of us has a bank account. Every one of us uses a debit card. Wherever we go, there's something that we have to do that travels through a bank, even if we're just using Square and Cash App and Venmo and whatnot. There's a bank, and the banking industry is connected. Decentralized finance takes the power, takes the money, the profits from the banking institutions, and puts them back in the hands of the individuals, which is where it should be, where it should have been all along. If you think about your money that you put in the bank so that you can access it whenever you want to, you wouldn't think there's any limitation or anything standing in the way of you doing that. But that's exactly what happens with these banking institutions. You don't have the power. The bank has the power. Well, there's a movement that has been started recently that says be your own bank. And on my website, goldmasterplan.info, and the particular blockchain that I'm talking about there, the G999 blockchain, is specifically organized around that movement. Be your own bank and put the power of finance back into the hands of the individuals through education.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's very important. You touched on the G99. Is the blockchain correct, or is the G7 the blockchain?
G999 blockchain, G999 blockchain.
G999 blockchain. Can you give us some more information on that? Even give us an update on how that's going.
Absolutely. That's a project that is really going strong. And unlike a lot of the hype you hear about just cryptocurrencies, what cryptocurrency should I be looking at? The important thing to focus on is the technology that any particular crypto coin represents. Okay. Next to decentralized finance, drill blockchain technology into your head. You want to understand and learn more about blockchain technology. I just highlighted how Ethiopia is implementing blockchain technology. I didn't say anything about a particular coin. I just talked about the use of that technology. As technology grows and becomes more useful, you can do more things with it. Whatever represents the coin that represents that technology is what becomes a store of value. So the G999 project is got its focus on telecommunications. Every one of us has a cell phone. Every one of us right now, we're using telecommunications. We're interacting and communicating through the internet. Well, there's going to be a reality where secured and private and uninterruptible communication happens through the blockchain. Right now, if you made YouTube mad, they would stop you from broadcasting what you wanted to broadcast. But the blockchain and the next evolution of the internet takes all of that away. So really, the G99 project and blockchain projects in general, what they're evolving to is taking away the middleman, taking away the power from those who could disenfranchise and putting it back in your hands.
Okay. And so speaking on blockchain technology, I remember recently hearing about the reason why Elon Musk decided to take to stop utilizing Bitcoin because of the amount of energy that it used to actually mine a Bitcoin or track the transaction of a Bitcoin. So can you explain, if you have any knowledge on the energy usage, how much energy does it really take to mine a certain cryptocurrency or to locate it on a blockchain or verify the transaction behind it?
Got you. I don't want to take anybody back to a traumatic moment, but every one of us has at one time or another heard our parents say, "Turn the lights off in that room." Imagine your computer, whatever your computer or your laptop is plugged in, and then imagine what's called a supercomputer, also known as a mining rig, a supercomputer. Multiple CPUs running multiple hard drives, phenomenal amounts of memory, all of that sucking power, just so it can process information, process incredibly complex equations. And if it comes up with the right answer to this complex equation, it makes a Bitcoin, a valid Bitcoin it makes a valid block on the blockchain, I should say. And the reward for that computer actually making a block on the blockchain is it gets rewarded a Bitcoin. That's how Bitcoins are made. Computers that suck up a lot of power and energy, work to produce a certain outcome, are rewarded by receiving a Bitcoin, a digital asset. That whole way of doing things is changing. So the blockchain is going from that way, what's called proof of work, the way that a cryptocurrency is mined or minted into existence. It's moving from that to what's called a proof of stake, where you have individual nodes, whether it's a laptop like you're on or like I'm on, or a much smaller computer that doesn't take up as much energy, doesn't jack up the light bill like mining rigs do. And that's a much more efficient use of energy in terms of how these coins can be created.
Wow, that was, man, because I was really wondering how, I really appreciate that, because I was wondering how, a computer would use a lot of energy just to mine or to verify the transaction on a Bitcoin. So I do appreciate you breaking that down for us, and just let the audience know one more time where they can find you and where they can find your website or wherever you store your information on cryptocurrency and financial wealth.
Absolutely. This for the next 2 weeks, as a matter of fact, there's a blitz of information and people in my network that are just pumping information and education out along the airwaves. But you can find that, you can find the schedule for that by going to my website, goldmasterplan.info, and we can plug you right into where all the good stuff is at.
Yes, sir. All right, my brother. I appreciate you again for joining us today and giving us that valuable information, brother. Thank you. You have a great night.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for joining us today and tuning into National Network View News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media at NNV News, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Tariq X with National Network View News. I wish you all peace, blessings, and well-being. Good night.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Go to nnvnews.com/donate.